During the conference scene on the Death Star, there is one person who is smart enough to not underestimate the rebellion, who can see the threat they pose to the Empire and their superweapon. This man would survive the destruction of the Death Star and become Darth Vader's superior officer. General Tagge, a member of a very wealthy and powerful family, was the chief of the Imperial Army and a member of the Joint Chiefs of the Imperial military. He also had his own naval fleet, which included a Super Star Destroyer. As mentioned, he was present during the meeting on the Death Star where Admiral Motti challenged Darth Vader's authority after he had dismissed Tagge's concerns about the growing rebellion, but fortunately for Tagge, he was assigned to investigate Dantooine following Leia's claims of there being a rebel base there. This meant that he survived the destruction of the Death Star, and after the Battle of Yavin, he was rewarded by the Emperor for having the wisdom to see the weakness of the Death Star, and was promoted to the rank of Grand General in charge of all Imperial armed forces. He was essentially the most powerful man in the Empire with the exception of the Emperor. After giving Vader a dressing down for his failure at Yavin, Palpatine informs his apprentice that he will now take orders from Tagge directly. The Grand General puts Vader on convoy duty to begin with, forcing him to collect and protect shipments taken from the Hutts, and he's quick to remind Vader of his rank when the Sith Lord addresses him by his surname. Vader attempts to mock the general, but Tagge reminds Vader that the Death Star was a waste of resources, and now that he was in command, and his plans, whilst not as grandiose as Tarkin's, would be more successful. He continues to mock Vader, calling him the Empire's greatest warrior, and sends him on a highly risky mission to disable a rebellion corvette that was booby-trapped. During the conversation, Tagge refers to Vader as a blade, and that he was the skilled hand who would wield him. He then assigns Vader a babysitter, to which it is clear Vader has little patience for. Vader is successful in disarming the ship and locating the base where it originated from, and in the process managed to frame the babysitter as a traitor so that he could execute him without raising suspicion. Later on, Tagge gives the order to capture or kill Luke Skywalker, which angers Vader, who had secretly been sending bounty hunters to try and locate his son. Vader challenges the general, who dismisses him on another mission to deal with the local criminal syndicates, alongside a new babysitter called Thanoth, sporting an impressive mustache, which reminds me of a certain Robot Chicken scene.
Now, there are a few things we want to go over with you concerning Lord Vader. First and foremost, he thinks he has the power to strangle us. Truth is, he doesn't. If he ever realized this, he would kill us with his lightsaber. Thus, to keep us safe, we'll all pretend to get strangled. I'm going to hold out my hand like Lord Vader, and he will pretend to be strangled. Gasping for air, grabs throat. Yes. Eyes back, and he's down. Good show, Commander. Now, 2 of the floor chiefs will retrieve the corpse, redress him, add a moustache, and he's back to work as Lieutenant Leopold. Vader has the satisfaction of killing someone, and we stay amongst the living.
The new man is even more inquisitive and challenging of Vader's activities, proclaiming himself to be extremely dangerous to the enemies of the Empire, but nonetheless, he impresses Vader with his skills, and Vader ends up gaining somewhat of a grudging respect for the man as they succeed in their mission. During this time, Vader was using Dr. Aphra as a secret agent to try and locate Skywalker. Thanoth had discovered this and deduced Vader's true identity and his plot to overthrow the Emperor using Luke as his apprentice. But he wishes to aid Vader and gives him the information needed to locate Aphra, who had gone into hiding. Thanoth, being a true believer in the Empire, allows Vader to kill him, knowing that Vader would never allow him to live now that he knew his secrets. Meanwhile, Tagge had taken the Executor as his flagship, and the Emperor was currently on board. Tagge had been using a group of agents to conduct other missions alongside Vader, including a scientist called Silo. These agents had been a constant thorn in Vader's side, and he slowly eliminated them one at a time until Silo was the last one left. Silo attempted a coup, disabling the Executor and knocking out most of the crew with nerve gas. Vader is able to board the ship and hunts down Silo. Vader engages in a lightsaber battle on the hull of the Super Star Destroyer, but finally makes his way to the bridge. Silo reveals his ace in the hole. He assisted in the creation of Vader's suit 2 decades previously, and had a remote that was able to shut it down. Vader has some pretty great flashbacks where he fights Anakin on Mustafar, declaring that Anakin was just a child and he was accustomed to killing children. This gives him the strength through the dark side to rise up and kill Silo. Once power is restored and the crew are revived, the Emperor brings Tagge to Vader and demotes him, handing power back to Vader. With Tagge looking on with puppy dog eyes in the hopes of forgiveness, he immediately starts trying to justify his actions. Vader doesn't even bother to respond, simply choking the man to death in front of Admiral Ozzel, who would be getting a little glimpse of the future. Grand General Tagge was no doubt a very observant and intelligent military leader. He recognised the threat of the rebellion, was lucky to survive the Battle of Yavin, and realised the truly wasted potential of the Death Star. However, his enthusiasm in wielding his power over Vader was his undoing. He trusted the wrong people, and ultimately, Vader will always get his revenge, especially against bullies.